Drake, Florida State has not won a lot over the last 2 years. They did, though, for a week, well, maybe a little less than a week, hold a very esteemed honor, a very esteemed crown.
Oh, yeah.
They were the debt kings this season at $437 million. We didn't even make it a week being the king of something, and Penn State had to come steal our shine up at $535 million worth of debt. Nearly $1 billion of debt between these two programs right now, who did not have very successful football seasons. And when you're looking to pay down debt and you're looking for people to help you get rid of some of this debt that is tied to buildings and improvements and things like that, losing football games is a bad way to do it.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is what fans are going to see with this is you're losing football games, which Florida State and Penn State did this year, but now we're going to find out that you're $500 million in debt, $435 million in debt, whatever it is for both of these. I think a really good take. This shouldn't be allowed. How do you go to $500 million into the red to support your athletic programs? And look, a big piece of this is the game of chance. Like, a lot of this money is going into buildings. A lot of this money is going into loans to renovate stadiums and to make things a little more conducive to fans. But do you guarantee that the return on investment is going to be there? Namely, if these programs lose in a sustained way, as Florida State has, what does that look like? Because what you're trusting here, TJ, is that when we reinvest into stadiums, when we reinvest into the infrastructure of our university, Cal is in a ton of debt too right now, that we will have the return on investment when fans show up, people show up, money starts pouring back in. These loans are paid off. Everything, the revenue, right, for your debt, what you need is your revenue to match or exceed that. That is the goal here. Now, a lot of universities are trying to show they're in the red any fiscal year so they can look, we lost money. They didn't actually lose money. This is different than that, though. This is a different play here. And that number is so large, I think it leaves a lot of fans asking the question, and it's a rightful question, how do we think that's a good idea? How do we think that's safe as a university? And TJ, the parallel, here's why I wanted to bring it up from a Big 12 standpoint. The Big 12 doesn't have this problem, if you want to call it a problem, right? There is risk in taking on $500 million in debt, right? There is risk in taking on $500 million in debt. The Big 12 doesn't really have this issue across the board. If you read the Sportico article, most Big 12 schools, and certainly, again, almost everybody's in some sort of debt here, but most Big 12 schools have been really fiscally, financially safe in an era of college football. And again, that's maybe the biggest piece of this conversation, or should be the biggest piece, in an era of college football with so much fluidity, where we don't know where we're going, where we don't know, like that facility upgrade, the stadium upgrade, how much was that money? How much was that loan supportive for you in winning in college football and succeeding in college football? TJ, I just don't think debt king is where you want to be. And the Big 12 is doing a really good job of ensuring that its member institutions are not $500 million in the hole.
Yeah, where it becomes concerning for Florida State is when they started a lot of these projects, they were playing a lot better. They started the project in 2024 in the spring then, and then it lasted through the whole season, and then it was, stadium and football only facility. I don't pretend to know everything that Penn State has going on, but when Florida State started this, they were good. So you're counting on really good revenue to come in. Now, to Florida State's credit, despite winning 7 games over the last 2 years, they brought in more revenue this year than they ever have, right? This was a peak year for them. And that's typically how college football works, right? You make a little bit more money this year than you did before. However, when I look at the emails that I'm getting from the boosters, and when I hear what they're saying about how many renewals they've had, there is a drop in interest, like just fan interest. Like, people are not, hey, you kept a bad coach. We want to keep giving you as much money or more money than we did the year before. And so you got to figure out a way to offset that. Now, they're paying on, I think a lot of these buildings that universities and athletic departments throw up, they're very low. They're, relatively low interest type loans that you're able to service manageably over decades, right? This is not an 18%, $100,000 in credit card debt that'll just bury you and you end up claiming bankruptcy on. So there is, the servicing of the debt is a line item, right? No doubt. So it's not, you're not going upside down with it, right? You're making, I have no idea what their yearly payment on $437 million of debt is, but it's a substantial amount, but it's not a crippling amount. Where it becomes crippling is You've got to pay $18.5 million in revenue sharing right now. You have a coach that can't win games and is making over $10 million a year. You need to, in some form or fashion, compete in an NIL landscape that is insane in this state. I was told this week, Florida is paying about $40 million for their roster. Miami is paying a crap ton of money for their roster. I don't even know what that number would look like. And so you've got to figure that out. And losing games leads to not selling out tickets. It leads to less boosters that are joined. It leads to less donations. There aren't a lot of people that want to sign up to give. And, oh, yeah, you still have that coach that can't figure out how to win a road game and has 3 ACC wins over the last 2 years. Yeah. We might have to fire him, which is another $100 million. So if Florida State had been in the playoff this year, right, or was just relatively good, like Georgia Tech level good, 9 wins, this would not be a big deal. They are an absolute dumpster fire everywhere. And the debt doesn't even bother me because people build buildings all the time. It's, will they lose money and not be able to get it, they're going to pay it off. I mean, they may have to fire some people or cut some budgets or cut some other sports. They will pay it off because at the end of the year, they're going to say, hey, where's our check? But that's what worries me the most is you've straddled yourself with this and you're not performing athletically. If you're performing athletically, winning fixes everything, including money. They're not winning. And that's my biggest concern with this.
I think you made a good point off the air. We talked a bit about this a second ago about how it's not all wins and losses here. We're not going to pay that. Rome wasn't built in a day. The $500 million for Penn State wasn't paid off in a day. But winning makes a huge difference. Sure. Winning is a massive piece in ensuring that $500 million is taken care of. And TJ, here's my big thing, my big issue with this, and it's why the Big 12 looks so fiscally responsible in comparison, is when I'm eyeing this, dog, we don't know where college football is going. We don't know what the next big ask is. We just got told you need to pay your players $21 million a year. And these are schools going, well, we're already really in debt. What's another $20 million? The question becomes, how do you justify, oh, look, new seats in the stadium? How do you justify, a new whirlpool in the players' locker room when tomorrow we may find out, oh, by the way, it's $25 million to the players. Or tomorrow you may find out, hey, by the way, we need to revamp our NIL to $50 million. Well, how do we get that? We're already asking so much of our donors, of our fans, of our people, and we're not winning right now. As the fan base their support becomes a little more lackluster, that $500 million, $435 million becomes a lot more daunting. And this is the time in college athletics. This is what a fun Dave Ramsey conversation this has turned into. This is the time in college athletics to save money.
Yeah, there's so much uncertainty with, college athletics. And then with Florida State specifically, you have a coach who you think you're going to have to fire and pay $50 million to not coach for you. They're I wouldn't say they're the worst in NIL by any means, but they're maybe top 20-ish, top 15-ish, right? And
you want to be better than that, right?
For sure. Florida State views themselves as they should compete. It wasn't that long ago that Florida State was competing at the highest level. And so whether the outside college football world thinks that they should or shouldn't, right? No matter what, their view is we should be competing. I don't know that you can compete for championships with top 20-ish NIL. Just being honest. Yeah. And then you've also got the aspect of where is all of this going, right? What you just mentioned, where is this going? You've got ADs at Miami and other places that are saying, dude, we shouldn't have a cap at all. This should just be, you pay whatever the heck you want. And like I said, yeah, winning fixes everything. Miami led the ACC in viewership and they got all the way to the national championship. They're probably going to make very close to $50 million. Well, no. They won't be in the 5-year loop. They will probably make an additional $40 million from those two things, more than more than most other ACC teams, right? Like Florida State, Clemson will have a little higher viewership because it's a 5-year total. If Florida State was good on the field, lopping $40 million off of that total would be really nice, right? Taking that down under $400 million. And so, yeah, you can't be a dumpster fire off the field and on the field too, and expect it to work out very well. But,
or just do what the Big 12 is doing right now and just don't take out loans for anything. Don't revamp anything. Just don't move. Please don't move. Hey, today's show is brought to you by TurboTax. It's that time of year again. Taxes. No, man. TurboTax is so easy. The reason I used TurboTax last year and will use them again this year is because it's like instant. I hand it to them, give them $150 all in, and my taxes are done. They're done. File by February 28th. If you didn't file with TurboTax last year, it gives you a little extra time, a little extra leeway. W-2s to self-employed forms, they are going to work to get you every deduction possible. Take the taxes off of your plate. Get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. TurboTax.com/local is exactly where you're going to go to book your appointment today with TurboTax.